Here are 5 things you didn't know about the biggest funding mistakes in startup history. First, every major VC firm rejected Dropbox, calling cloud storage not a real business. After 300 rejections, they finally raised $1.2 million from small angel investors who saw the vision. Second, Y Combinator invested just $15,000 in Dropbox during their early days. That tiny investment became worth $250 million when the company went public. Third, the same VCs who rejected Dropbox later paid 100 times higher prices in later funding rounds. Fourth, this pattern repeated with Airbnb, WhatsApp, and Pandora. All were rejected by major firms, then became billion-dollar companies. Fifth, angel investor Naval Ravikant made $30 million from a $25,000 Dropbox investment. That's a 1,200 times return in just a few years. The crazy part? These opportunities still exist today through equity crowdfunding platforms. While big VCs miss the next unicorn, smart retail investors are getting in early. What if you had invested just $1,000 in a tiny startup called Uber Cab back in 2009? At the time, it was nothing more than a black car service operating only in San Francisco. Your $1,000 would have bought you 0.2% equity in a company valued at just $500,000. Most people would have called you crazy for betting on such a risky idea. But then something unexpected happened. Series A funding hit, and suddenly your stake was worth $15,000. Series B made it $180,000. When Uber went international, your investment jumped to $2.1 million. By the time Uber went public in 2019, your original $1,000 bet had transformed into $8.7 million. Early employees who bought small amounts of company stock became instant multimillionaires. Uber didn't just create wealth, it birthed an entire investment category called ride-sharing. Today, similar ground floor opportunities exist in emerging sectors like artificial intelligence and renewable energy. Sometimes the biggest fortunes start with the smallest bets. Did you know one man made $4 billion by betting against the American dream? In 2007, while everyone celebrated rising home prices, John Paulson was studying mortgage data that others completely ignored. He discovered something terrifying. Subprime mortgages were pure poison. People with no income were getting $500,000 loans. It was insane. So Paulson created the ultimate contrarian play. He bought credit default swaps, essentially insurance policies that paid out when mortgages failed. His investors thought he was crazy. Who bets against housing in America? But as 2008 unfolded, his profits exploded while Lehman Brothers bled money. Then came September 15, 2008. Lehman collapsed overnight. Paulson's fund jumped from $7 billion to $28 billion in 1 year. He had cracked the code. When everyone zigs, you zag. This became the blueprint for contrarian investing that smart money still uses today. Sometimes the biggest opportunities hide where nobody wants to look. Did you know some traders made millions by betting on pure fear? In normal times, the VIX volatility index sits quietly around 20. But during the 2008 financial crisis, it exploded to 80. Smart traders realized they could profit from panic itself. The strategy was simple: buy VIX calls before major announcements or during calm periods, then wait for fear to strike. When COVID hit in March 2020, the VIX rocketed from 12 to 82 in just weeks. Traders who bought calls made over 1,000% returns overnight. One trader turned $10,000 into over $100,000 in days. Another made $500,000 betting on election volatility. While everyone else panicked and sold their stocks, these traders collected massive payouts. They understood something crucial: fear is predictable and extremely profitable. Today, a new class of volatility traders exists, making fortunes every time the market freaks out. They discovered the ultimate truth: other people's panic is your payday. What if you pitched your weekend thrift store flipping hobby to venture capitalists and actually got funded? You started simple, buying vintage jackets for $20 and selling them for $60 online. Just a side hustle to pay for coffee and gas. But then you walked into that pitch meeting with 3 months of profit data. The VCs saw something you didn't: market disruption potential. $50,000 seed funding lands in your account overnight. You quit your day job, hire 2 employees, rent warehouse space. Within 6 months, you're processing thousands of items weekly across 5 states. Major retailers start feeling the pressure from your sustainable fashion platform. Then comes the acquisition offer: $2.5 million. Your weekend hobby just became generational wealth. Here's the reality most people miss. VCs now actively fund these unsexy service businesses. Companies like Uber, Airbnb, and Facebook all started as simple side projects. The right funding turns hobbies into empires. Did you know Warren Buffett's most profitable investment wasn't Apple or Coca-Cola, but a small candy company? In 1972, Buffett bought See's Candies for just $25 million. Since then, this tiny chocolate maker has generated over $2 billion in profits. That's an 80-to-1 return on his original investment. But here's what made See's truly special. Every single Christmas, they could raise their prices without losing a single customer. People would literally line up around the block, willing to pay whatever See's charged. This taught Buffett something revolutionary about business. Brand power creates an invisible moat around companies. When customers love your product enough, price becomes irrelevant. This boring candy purchase completely changed how Buffett invested forever. It's why he later bought Apple for $36 billion. He recognized the same customer loyalty, the same pricing power. A simple box of chocolates became the blueprint for building one of history's greatest fortunes. Did you know PayPal is worth over $250 billion today? But it started as a company trying to beam money between Palm Pilots. In 1998, Peter Thiel and his team launched Confinity with one bizarre goal: transfer cash using infrared technology between handheld devices. It was a complete disaster. Nobody wanted to point their Palm Pilot at someone else to pay for coffee. But they had built a small web feature as a backup, and something strange started happening. eBay users were going crazy for online payments while the Palm Pilot idea was dying. The pivot was instant. They abandoned the gadgets and focused entirely on web payments. Then came the nightmare. They were burning cash, nearly bankrupt, and facing fierce competition from Elon Musk's XCOM. The solution? Merge with the enemy. The combined company became PayPal, and just 3 years later, eBay bought them for $1.5 billion. That accidental discovery created the foundation of modern fintech and turned early employees into millionaires overnight. Sometimes the best businesses come from complete accidents. Here are 5 things you didn't know about DeFi yield farming that could change your financial future. First, someone earned over 15,000% returns in 2024 through strategic yield farming on decentralized protocols. That's turning $1,000 into over $150,000 in a single year. Second, basic staking rewards on platforms like Ethereum now offer 8 to 12% annual returns, far exceeding traditional savings accounts. Third, liquidity pools on Uniswap and Compound regularly generate 20 to 40% yields by providing trading pairs. Your money works around the clock, earning fees from every transaction. Fourth, compound interest in DeFi moves at lightning speed, with daily compounding turning small investments into substantial wealth. A $500 investment can become thousands within months. Fifth, one trader documented turning $1,000 into $400,000 through careful yield farming strategies across multiple protocols. But here's the warning: total loss is possible. Smart contracts can fail, platforms can collapse, and impermanent loss can wipe out gains instantly. Did you know one mobile game saved a company from bankruptcy and created dozens of millionaires overnight? In 2009, Mikael Hed sat in his Helsinki office watching his company Rovio slowly die. 51 games had failed. They had months of cash left, maybe weeks. His team was desperate, exhausted, and ready to give up on their dream. But Hed had one final idea: a simple game about angry birds launching at green pigs. Everyone thought it was too basic, too silly for the new iPhone market. They launched it anyway as their last shot at survival. Within weeks, downloads exploded from 0 to millions, then tens of millions. By year one, 50 million people were playing daily, generating $10 million monthly. The simple app spawned movies, theme parks, and billions in merchandise deals. Early employees became instant millionaires through profit-sharing agreements. That single game transformed a failing startup into a global entertainment empire worth hundreds of millions. Sometimes your biggest breakthrough comes disguised as your simplest idea.